This time, you're in control. We're putting you at the center of the experience. Welcome to Xbox 360.
With Xbox 360, we've created technology that will enable people from every age and every corner of the planet to gather together in new ways.
This is my Xbox 360.
So Jay, thanks very much for your time today to talk about the 360.
Absolutely.
I wonder if you could start by telling us, what is it about the 360 that excites you the most?
I think for me it's really about the potential of growing the medium and getting the medium to be more mainstream. You know, we're at the point now where the visual fidelity of these systems has gotten people over, you know, the reality barrier, and the games look good enough. So now we can really talk about expanding the craft and bringing it to you know, new audiences. And the combination of what we've done with the hardware and the tools that we put together, what we're doing on Xbox Live, is really going to allow game creators to take their experiences to the next level. And I think it's going to empower the gamers themselves a little bit more. I mean, you're not just going to take over the protagonist, but you're going to be able to leave your fingerprints, you know, on these universes they create.
Now, the number of people you've mentioned who are involved in the process of making this machine is in what, hundreds, thousands? I mean, how on earth do you manage, you know, this such a huge process?
Oh, it's a great question. It's hard to manage. I think that, you know, when we shipped the first Xbox 360, probably 20,000 people were involved, and that's the core team that lives in Redmond and Silicon Valley and the people around the world, as well as manufacturing, the folks at Intel and IBM and ATI, the folks that we work with in retail. Like 20,000 people are going to get involved in this thing. So we have the singular vision that what we want to create is this living entertainment experience that's powered by human energy, and that's reflected in everything we do. And we actually have this document which actually briefs everybody on what the singular vision is that we call the Book of Xenon. And you read that document, you have a really good sense for what we're striving for, what the core elements are of the product, not just from a technology point of view, but what we're trying to do in terms of the business and in terms of our vision for consumers.
And was part of that process, by any chance, there's been a lot of sort of leaks, just not on my question, but a lot of leaks. Were they any of those sort of deliberate planted as part of
No, you know, that's part of the problem with having those 20,000 people help out, is that, you know, you leave something in an airplane seat back, or in a cab, or on an unprotected FTP site, and you couldn't even chase them down. It almost looked like it was deliberate because there was something new every day on the net as we led up to the MTV thing. And in retrospect, it made the team very angry at first. I mean, we were really frustrated. We said, "Oh, you know, we've lost the element of surprise, or the big event is going to have less impact." But in retrospect, actually, it turned out to be pretty good buzz. So and built up to it, and didn't really detract from our messaging. So it's a wash.
And why is it, graphically speaking, quality of these first sort of set of titles that we're seeing at the moment, it varies pretty wildly? I mean, why would you say that is right now?
Well, I think that, you know, it's cliche to say it, but you don't judge a book by its cover, an album by its single, a film by its trailer, right? And I think that graphics is just one component in gameplay. Look at the big franchises in the last 10 years. Pokemon wasn't really about graphics. Grand Theft Auto, you know, didn't blow anybody away from its graphical point of view. Even, you know, games, The Sims is probably the most successful franchise of this last generation. Wasn't a graphical tour de force. I mean, the only one title that really was a graphical tour de force and a commercial success was Halo. That was really the only one that was vanguard in terms of graphics, and there are even games that look better than Halo. So I think just focusing in on graphics is actually not giving much credit to the medium itself. That gameplay is becoming a lot more important. And you know, you look at Tony Hawk American Wasteland, they have one level. It's the city of Los Angeles. And that's how, you know, they're expressing their vision. And that means it's not going to have the same level of fidelity as a game that interrupts you with load screens every 20 minutes.
We spoke to Mr. Itagaki yesterday, and he was very much of the opposite opinion in that it is all about graphics. He was pretty much, as you know, the protagonist of that.
Well, that's why you have different creators. I mean, you want to have the different creative aesthetics. And what we showed with Dead or Alive 4 was absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So he doesn't try to create these worlds. It's almost the antithesis of Tony Hawk, where his level design is relatively big for a fighting game, but it's not nearly as big as Los Angeles.
The 360 looks really great. What was the thinking behind the look of the machine and the brand?
Well, it gets back to that one-liner again. A living entertainment experience powered by human energy was sort of what informed us. And when we thought about, the energy, we actually thought more about sort of the inner strength of the console, more the inhale before the impact, as opposed to sort of really big American muscle car power like we did with Xbox One. The other thing is that we had a lot more time to refine the design and incorporate much more feedback from a worldwide perspective. So we spent a lot of time in Japan, a lot of time in Europe. We actually spent time in markets that we're not historically in. Spent a lot of time with consumer electronics manufacturers and said, hey, what are the TVs going to look like in 4 years from now? Because we want to fit into that entertainment space. And had a lot of time to refine it.
So if it's the plan for Halo 3 to come out when the PS3 launches, hypothetically, would that not go against the previous philosophy of however long it takes with development by Bungie?
That is the philosophy with Halo. I mean, we're never going to ship a Halo game if we were to make, hypothetically, Halo games in the future. We want to have the Bungie team, we want to give them the amount of time they need to create the product that they envision. They worked with Halo 1, they worked with Halo 2. Anything the Bungie team does from here on out, we want to apply the same formula. That's the appropriate formula for them. The great news is we have a great lineup of developers that we've been working with in first party that have had more time to work on products, and we have a great launch lineup there too.
I mean, have there been any changes in politics behind the scenes of the Xbox business over the last few years at all?
What sense?
Well, we spoke to a guy yesterday who was pretty high profile in the Xbox business, and I don't know, a lot of people feel that maybe there's a shift of focus over the last few years as you started to transition into this new platform behind the scenes. Is there anything that you would notice along those lines?
What I would say, we've learned a lot. I mean, here we were 5 years ago at E3 talking about a new console business. We'd never made a console game. We'd never sold anything at major retailers like Walmart and Target in the US. We'd never sold directly to them. We didn't have a business relationship with Electronic Arts, and we had a brand new team. So we were really actually pretty much babes in the woods in this whole console space. So over the last 3 years, I'd say we really have gotten our hands around the console playbook. We've even added a couple of new plays, like what we've done with Xbox Live, into that playbook. And now I think we're bringing a little bit more of the Microsoft playbook. We're saying, let's go connect with Media Center, for example, which is something that we wouldn't have done in Xbox One now that we have a pretty good foothold in the market. So I think lots of lessons learned, maybe bringing a little bit more Microsoft strengths, like what we've done with MSN and what we've done with Media Center, to give more customer value.
You must have seen the PS3 demos by now, and particularly talking about the more impressive ones. Real-time or pre-rendered is the question. Do you think it's like a repeat of the situation we had with the Emotion Engine demos? And then the sort of launch lineup turned out to be nothing.
You've got to ask Sony on that one. I can just comment really on what our rule was for the press briefing, and what our rule is generally with anything that we do with the press, anything that we show to consumers, is we want to show what we can deliver on. We want to promise what we can deliver on. And when we put together the videos, we wanted to demonstrate gameplay that is going to be realistic and representative of what the final hardware can do. I don't know if Sony did it. I will say that, I looked at Namco Girl in the early days of the PS2, and I said, boy, I want to buy the system that can do that. The first system that's going to be able to render Namco Girl, quality graphics in real time, is going to be Xbox 360. If you actually pick up a controller and play Dead or Alive 4 on Xbox 360, you finally see Namco Girl. That was about 9 years from the first time we saw her on a Laserdisc. So, I think it's inappropriate for us to be showing things that we don't think we can deliver on.
I mean, how much of an advantage is it, the time difference that you have between your launches?
I don't know. I mean, don't know when they're going to launch. We're going to launch this year in all 3 major territories. I don't know enough about their details at all to speak to. I do know that when you sold 12 million units before your competitor has, that's a huge advantage. And that was the disadvantage we were up against last generation. We don't have that.
Let's talk about, where do you see the Xbox business going in the next 5, 10, maybe 15 years?
I want to be, one of the companies that really pushes the level of innovation of gaming and digital entertainment in general to reach a much broader audience. The game industry today is doing very well from a pure numerics point of view. And that's because we obsolete ourselves so quickly and because our entertainment experiences cost $50. But we're not enjoyed by the same number of households and the same number of people as television, as film, as music, as books. And I want to hit that stratosphere, that level of the stratosphere. And if we can do that, and we're the company that helps energize that movement, we'll get market share along the way. But for us, it's really about growing the market. If we set our sights on going and saying, let's turn 1 billion people in this world into gamers. It sounds audacious, but if we can make games as popular as music and movies, then we'll do really good things for the business. We'll do good things for Microsoft, obviously. We'll do great things for consumers, and that's what I want to do.
Okay, Jake. Well, thanks very much for your time today, and best of luck with the launch of 360.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Xbox 360, it's always on, it's always connected, it's always personalized, and it's always in high def. You're in control.
God bless the internet.
Have you met Adam before? Yeah.
Yeah, only briefly at XO2.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah. But that was just because I jumped into someone else's interview. So it's
I remember that. Yeah,